Hello, good morning everyone. Seems that was a great party, considering that the room is full of people today. Nice, thank you all for the ones that managed to wake up this morning and to come and join us today. We have an interesting topic. We are starting big today with Pharma Superpower, the session why human-to-human engagement still matter. So maybe before start, just let's do some round of introductions. I'm Alex, I'm the CEO of Digitalya. Next to me is Christian.
Yeah, I'm Christian Schulze, very warm welcome and happy to see you again, not only on the dance floor, but now also in person here. I'm heading the Omnichannel platform capabilities and advanced analytics team at Lundbeck.
Good morning, Brian Kudeba from Ipsen. I lead our digital technology transformation area globally. Happy to be here, and I wasn't at the dance party last night, sorry, but maybe tonight.
Hello, this is Chiara Bolognini. I'm an international senior marketing leader, worked at Novartis, Bristol Myers Squibb, global senior marketing, and Abbott, and now Roche. Happy to be here. I'm humbled and truly excited to be with you today, with this outstanding audience and these esteemed colleagues in my panel.
Thank you very much for the introduction. So let's start then. First question. So Pharma is striving to be Netflix-like, Amazon-like, so be like providing this sort of digital experience in there. However, why do human-to-human interactions still matter, and how can we do that better? And Brian, maybe you can.
Yeah, I can start. So thank you for the easy question. Of course they matter. We wouldn't be here today if they didn't matter. And just a little more in terms of being here. So I've got about a dozen or so requests to meet. Some from you people in this room, but mostly from the room behind us. But it was all to meet in person, right? No one said, can we set up a Teams call or a WebEx call, right? Everybody wanted to meet in person. So why, right? We want to establish that relationship, establish that rapport, build a bit of trust, empathy. And that's the same thing for our MSLs when they go in the marketplace, especially when you have the first connection with your HCP or your doctor, is to establish that level of trust, establish that credibility, and it's needed, right? We got kind of fooled a little bit during the epidemic, thinking that we could do everything virtual, but that was just in a certain point in time, and everybody had the same situation. Right? Now, as we got out of the pandemic, the companies that went out and reestablished that face-to-face H2H connection were the ones that got a step ahead. Right? And the ones that kind of lagged behind, saying that we could still do everything virtually, had suffered a little bit, and they're changing their ways. Right? So you really need that with the initial connection. You need that with any kind of complicated diagnosis where it's important to kind of demonstrate in person. So they're still needed, and we'll talk, I think, about how we can supplement that with technology later. But yeah.
Thank you, Brian. I really agree with you. And yes, it is true that we would like to be as innovative as Amazon and Netflix, have this unique identity. Be able to sell as viral as Amazon does, also deliver at the same speed, or as Netflix delivering compelling and personalized content at the same level. And that's a big desire, which doesn't contradict really the human-to-human interaction opportunity. On the contrary, we need an integrated strategy, right? And we need to restore human-to-human interaction. And we are in the post-pandemic new normal. We need to recognize again the value of human-to-human interaction, integrate it into the ecosystem. And yes, that's actually my view on it specifically. Christian.
Yeah, I mean, I very much would like to echo what you just have said. I mean, of course, there's always in every pharma company a little bit the wish to become a bit more like Netflix and Amazon. In reality, I believe that we are not actually competing with them, right? So, I mean, they are, of course, defining certain processes and certain touch points in terms of what is the standard that we would expect, right? Like personalization, for instance, or Amazon in terms of fulfillment and so on. So there are certain things that they do really good, and of course, they are setting the bar. Although I have to say, like, for instance, Amazon now with or Apple with Siri and Alexa and so on, they are really falling behind when you take a look at OpenAI. So they also have to change, right? So, and I think it's more about this change that you need to be able to facilitate based on our business model, which is predominantly H2H, right? So it's, of course, you can argue there might be a brand life cycle stage where you don't need to have that anymore. You might have products that actually are very simple to explain, and maybe it's only digital that is actually also needed for some product launches. But you need to be able to manage that. You need to be able to orchestrate that from a business and strategy perspective, as well as being able to execute it from a technology and skills perspective. And that has fundamentally changed, right? So the core, face-to-face is still there, but everything around it, what you need to do, actually, that has completely changed. And sometimes I see in pharma companies, this, we need digital, and then we were back to face-to-face because we're facing a crisis and so on. They are not able to actually deploy then everything that is required to still balance, basically, in this new world, what is digital, what is omnichannel, what is actually face-to-face.
Yes, and you're right. There will be a challenge also in shifting budgets again, right, from the digital acceleration we saw in the pandemic, right, into the post-pandemic new normal. So rehiring or hiring new sales force will be, of course, a challenge. And also we see, as you said, right, every touch point of interaction has its own unique value. A human-to-human interaction has an irreplaceable human value to restore.
Thank you, and you touched some good points in there. And maybe as a follow-up question on this, like how can we incorporate the face-to-face meetings with the digital part in an effective way? And maybe if you have some examples to share, I'm sure that the people will.
Yes, of course, face-to-face meetings in the digital era, right? How do we deal with those, the integration? So I've seen lots of ecosystems, right? Omnichannel ecosystems also on the stage yesterday. And still, I don't see very much the face-to-face meetings within these ecosystems, and I don't see the people on the field, the sales force, within this ecosystem. So would you feel empowered if you were a part of this game? I wouldn't. And so my strategy and the strategy should really be delivered in a way that we see the sales force as our customers within the company. And so we put the customer, the sales force, at the center of our ecosystems building. And the technologies, the marketing technologies around him to elevate him in the human-to-human interaction. Also, we have to rely a lot on insights and have this exchange, the way to collect the insights from the field, from the digital interactions, from the virtual meetings, in ways that everything will feed our strategy will be able to shift in an agile way at the speed of how the customer behaviors always change. So that's my takeaway, but of course, the customer is still at the center of the ecosystem. And so once the sales force feels powerful, right, and not anymore scared about AI advancing and replacing me and all of this fear and threats, right, they will basically put again, the customer at the center, right, abandon the fears, and having all of these technologies and engagement touch points for the customers available to him.
Let me add to that. So there's so much more we can do now. It's such an exciting time, right? To be able to go out and supplement our H2H interactions with what we can do with Gen AI, kind of understand, our customer, where they went, the events that they had, the kind of topics that are important, to be able to bring that to the conversation and being really fulfilling interaction, much more than what we could do in the past when we just kind of relied on our reps' ability to recall things and look at different, different systems or tools and do it manually. We can generate so much now, so much quicker, to make that conversation richer and bring things that are much more relevant and to the point. And it's a great time where, if we can go out and use those tools, identify the next best action, of that interaction. Maybe it's just a sharing a paper. Maybe it's a video call. Maybe it's an actual visit. But to be able to use our technology to help generate what we should be doing next is a fantastic place to be right now.
Yeah, maybe adding to this a little bit, I think you said it all already very good. There is, of course, the possibility, and we spoke about this yesterday numerous times, in terms of marketing automation and how to actually just use these touch points that we have when it, for instance, a face-to-face visit, right? So that, or a virtual call that we have, that there's automatically then, or it's basically used as a trigger so that afterwards there might be a campaign triggered that is very specifically to the needs of the customer in this call. So it's basically enriching not only what the sales rep is able to do in that call because of all of the insights and knowledge that we can produce and the next best actions that we have, but it's also kind of just plain standardization of engagement, defining actually what we want to have as a customer experience for these interactions, for the virtual calls, for instance, in the engagement, in the journey that we create. So that is also something that is basically just increasing the touch points, it's increasing the frequency of engagement, and it's increasing the reach without much of a hassle, right? But of course, you need to think along all of these touch points, yes, all of these different ways of how you can do basically face-to-face visits in the journey, be it a big conference, be it an MSL meeting, a sales rep meeting, a mini meeting with many other customers. And so there might be different ways of creating experience around that actually makes then a difference and helps basically the perception of the face-to-face visit of the sales rep and the company to be elevated to another level.
Thank you, Christian. Yeah. Brian.
Yeah. And when we are speaking about the human-to-human interactions, usually we are thinking about the MSLs and about the sales reps. However, these two departments, they usually have a bit different strategies and approaches. So how can we integrate those in a good way and also to be regulatory compliant? What are your thoughts about that?
Should I start this time?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think, I mean, for me, it's, there should be, everything should start from an integrated brand plan, right? So having actually two different functions, trying to achieve the same, but doing it differently and having no clue about what they do is not the right way to do it. So everything, in my view, should be, of course, integrated to an extent that it actually is enabling a customer experience locally and for the customer that is not, this is one part of the company and then I really feel it that this is another part of the company. That's not true. And that shouldn't be. And I think yesterday someone actually said about, omnichannel, there can be only one omnichannel. And it's absolutely true, right? Omnichannel is not omnichannel marketing, it's omnichannel engagement. And engagement can be across functions, right? It can be marketing, sales, medical affairs, corporate, right? PV, all of them should have the knowledge of the customer and how the customer is actually engaging with the company, so that actually these engagements can be orchestrated or can at least facilitate the same experience. So medical affairs to that extent and marketing, I think, play a crucial role, and they should be aligned to the extent that it's clear where actually and when do they play a certain role in engagement. And then it can be, of course, done, and we have seen yesterday and talked about that. It can be on the CRM level, it can be on all kinds of communication level. Of course, there needs to be a firewall in place, but it's feasible that you can align that. It's feasible that you can share information to a certain extent. All of that is possible and should be done, in my view.
So I'll add to that as well. So at Ipsen, we historically been doing about one kind of launch, 1-2 launches a year. And now we're in a position where we're doing 4 or 5, maybe 6 launches in a year. And this cross-functional collaboration is so important, right, for us to be able to accelerate that whole launch cycle, to be able to get our medicines out to the marketplace. And we're seeing it now, where it's a bottleneck, where we have to solve to be able to get that information flowing from medical regulatory affairs over to the commercial side, so that we can get to the market faster with the right information, and be able to have a successful launch. And I see that across the industry as well as this become more and more important. Things are accelerating. With Gen AI, our products are going to get developed faster. We're going to have more medicines to take to the market. We're going to have more launches, and that just means everything needs to work better through the whole value chain. And so it's incredibly important that this works and works well.
Thank you. Yes, so regarding the dichotomy between medical and commercial, right, I go down to the interaction, right? The human-to-human interaction. The real challenge there is really the application of the engagement, right? So I've seen in the various big pharma companies I work at, this being addressed in various ways, from conflicting to competing to ignoring each other. We're not here, honestly, right? And a new total way from one of the companies I worked at is merging medical commercial people on the field. It's really fascinating seeing that. And I thought this will solve the dichotomy of going to the customer 1, 2 times. I'm here again. And who are you? Same company, but another call. Okay. So it's a challenge already sometimes to have 5 minutes with an oncologist, right? I'm sure you can confirm that. And so this dichotomy actually could be solved this way by merging the two medical and commercial people on the field in one. However, in many markets, this has not been possible, right? So we've seen, the functions still coexisting, and so the efforts must be put in aligning, right? Also here, cross-functional strategy I just heard, it's crucial. Consider, the opposite, right? You don't make these efforts, you're going to misalignment. Is the customer going to wait for you when you're totally misaligned and you look like not really being part of the same company? So we need to be united, medical and commercial.
Thank you. I have one last question. After that, we can also take questions from the audience because we will have time. If you would be to give some advice on how to make human-to-human interactions better, what would be your pieces of advice in there? That I believe can also apply for everybody that is here that wants to approach you, not just for the MSL and for the sales reps. Yeah. Maybe Christian, you can also be there.
Yeah, sure. I mean, I think there's, I'm not in the arena of sales excellence, nor training and capability building locally, right? So I think there's a lot of things that can be done that just to improve basically the interaction between, a sales rep or MSL with the customer, based on, for instance, patient-centric or focused interactions, right? Which I believe is totally a must. But when it comes to just omnichannel, right, then like I said before, we can collect so much information. We have, at Lundbeck, we have 4,500 or so different metrics, data points that we collect basically in engagement for our customers. We accumulate those, we use advanced analytics, we create so many insights that we then facilitate to the sales rep, which is actually enabling them to have better engagements because they are just more aware of what the needs of the customer are. Because they could observe, of course, in the past only this face-to-face world, this offline world where they had the perception, where they had to trust their gut feeling, so to speak, or what the customer is actually saying. But now we surface so much more around the digital world, which they actually weren't aware before, and now they can use it and can create a better engagement and can serve them surprisingly better. And that is, I think, where it should all go to and what the essence of omnichannel actually is.
Thank you.
So I definitely agree with all that, Christian. I think we have so much information and power now to enrich that interaction. Our challenge now is going to be able to select what's important at the right time. To be able to have that conversation, right? And that's going to be a huge challenge to sift through that. I know we can, we'll use Gen AI and some other tools to be able to narrow it down, but the proliferation of information across our different channels, across our different databases in the background, across the network of information. To be able to select the salient points, to be able to bring them to the conversation at the right time, is the challenge, right? That we got to solve and be able to bring that out. Chiara?
Yes, I actually have a practical example of a big challenge. Of the sales force in engagement on human-to-human interaction during a very long pre-launch phase of a big blockbuster. This market was very much challenged at an infinite pre-launch phase. So at some point, the Salesforce team was coming to me and say, hey, we don't know what to say anymore, right, to the customers. We say over and over the same things. So I actually helped them reconsolidate their thinking by structuring that, right? Going back to the narrative, basically getting the messages broken down one by one, right? And say, start mapping and seeing, where are the content gaps, right? And this is why insights are still very, very important from the field and from the digital interactions, in ways that we see where we have to bring knowledge, how we can build that partnership and advocacy. And also, I told them, right, look at when you meet to really have a sort of toolkit where you decide what tools to use, what are the messages on the basis also of the analysis of the content gaps you have made, how you want the customer eventually to think really, to go through the engagement you have, eventually what to do, right? What's the task you give to the customer in the end, and so you create a connection also for the next interaction, which can be virtual, can be in person, but you basically create a flow, right? And so the last thing is clearly looking at the practice, how the new product will change the clinical practice within the single practices, right? Looking at those challenges. And to partner, how can I solve those challenges with you for the patient and for your practice, right? And that's the beginning of a strong partnership building, strong relationship where, even if you cannot speak anymore about data, you can speak about everything else and build the advocacy that you need to go on and move further.
Thank
in
you.
the human-to-human interaction we are discussing today.
It seems that we have time for one or two questions. So, if anybody... Oh, okay. Morgan. Yeah.
Hi, Chiara. My question is, the data show that you've got an increasing or decreasing amount of customers that are...
Wait, Morgan. Yeah, thanks.
I'll just start again then.
Oh.
The data show that you've got a decreasing pool of customers who are open to face-to-face. And if we continue to focus purely on face-to-face interaction and empowering the reps and MSLs with all the data and tools, are we not missing out on that kind of emerging and significant majority of customers who are reluctant to engage face-to-face? Do you think we should, I don't want to answer my own question, but do you think we should maybe spread our focus and enable more channels?
You get the question because it was difficult.
I think if I got it correctly, maybe I can answer that question if I understood it correctly. Please correct me if I'm wrong, right? I believe you're absolutely right. So in the end, like I said, we at Lundbeck, we believe that the sales rep is the predominant and kind of the major, of course, but it's related to our products that we have and the complexity of explaining them and so on. But we are still also using basically the technologies and the approaches and frameworks from other industries, right? So for instance, e-commerce, if you take a look, I mean, there's so much about lead management that is important for them, right? So it's not only a push, but for them it's more pull and then being, very good in terms of deciding on which customer actually needs to be engaged at what point in time. These kind of things we also apply so that we can actually balance that, right? So that we can actually say, okay, we might have a group here that is not approachable by face-to-face, or that is actually not the high-value customers, whatever, but we can still serve them, right? So we are not neglecting them. That is not what I wanted to say. It's more, being able to orchestrate and in a more balanced way, basically.
I think now I got your question through his answer. So this resistance to the face-to-face meetings, right, Morgan? Yes, I think we always had it, right? It's not new. We need new strategies. We need absolutely to understand, again, through the insights, the preferences of our customers in terms of frequencies, messages, right, and everything we can bring to them. So that's really, again, a challenge we have to really reface now that we are back into the market with a sales force.
Yeah, it's not completely eliminating the H2H, but if the preference is, kind of a video meeting or, certainly can be accommodated. And you're right, more and more are going that way with our technology. But I don't think we'll ever get away from not having any H2H at all. So it'll be less, there'll be more modes of interaction,
Yeah.
but it will still exist.
Yeah, also, let's set the right expectations, because it's true that, we have these diverse customers, right? This is why I always mention insights. But some elements, right, we really know, like oncologists and neurologists, they actually engage with us totally in different ways, because there are different specialties. And we see neurologists more apt to engage digitally as well. Oncology is always disappearing, but it's really about the job, right? And we have to set the right expectations, the right KPIs by customer, understanding how success looks like by customer and sometimes by disease area. So once we flatten and we say, it's everywhere the same, we look at the metrics all together, then we don't really read the differences. And then we can measure success the right way.
Okay, thank you. Although, no, I believe we are out of time, so we need to also be respectful to the people that are after us. So thank you very much, but I'm sure that the speakers here will be approachable after the session, so feel free to ask questions in private as well. So thank you.
Thank you.